Hello, everyone. So before we get into the documentary, I'm going to give you a brief summary of what it is. It's on the coronavirus and the effects it has on the economy. Um, COVID-19, or otherwise known as COVID-19. COVID-19 is a respiratory condition caused by a coronavirus, and some people are affected by not notice any symptoms. Most people have mild symptoms and get better on their own. So it's not always like, oh, you get corona, you're dead. No. The thing is with corona though, you won't see any symptoms begin between 2 to 14 days. Anywhere between that time frame, you can possibly start getting symptoms. Um, there, there's currently no vaccine for it, which is why it's shutting down. Why everybody's in a stay-home order. Why everyone is kind of trapped in their house. Some of the symptoms of it is fever, fatigue, a dry cough, a loss of appetite, body aches, shortness of breath. Some of the main thing doctors say is that if you have trouble breathing, constant pain and pressure in your chest, you should go seek medical attention and get tested. The thing is with testing though, you need a doctor's approval for it, so you can't just wake up one morning and go, oh, I think I have corona, and then just poof, go get tested. And the reason for this is because we're in so short supplies of testing. It's harder and harder to come by for certain states, and there's really not a lot in the reserve for it. This is all fresh for people. They're saying that most cases, even though if you have it, you can probably end up just sitting at home, kind of social distancing, staying away from your family, staying away from your dogs. Will definitely help because animals can get corona or COVID-19 too. COVID-19 originated in Wuhan, China, and China unfortunately didn't take the right actions to notify the rest of the world right away. They waited a couple months to see if they could control it in-house. And unfortunately, that did not work. And it also happened because of a bat. Because, people love eating bats because that's a thing now. You got to eat a bat. So some key things to know about it is that there is a total of 3,289,777 confirmed worldwide cases. And the U.S. makes up 1,093,661 confirmed cases in the U.S. And then out of that 1,000,000, 26,767 are confirmed cases in Connecticut. 268,057 deaths worldwide, 64,044 deaths United States, and then Connecticut makes up 2,168 deaths in Connecticut out of the United States. The thing that makes coronavirus so unique and makes everybody so nervous about it is, one, there's no vaccine. Two, there's really no way to tell if you have it right away. You just kind of gotta pray in kind of a sense. And three, it's it can go through your eyes, your nose, your mouth. That's why a lot of people have to wear masks and wear gloves, especially now that we have the order by the governor that if you go to any grocery store, anything like that, if you work, if you're essential, anything like that, you must be wearing a mask. And the mask is pretty much just to protect your nose and your mouth from drawing in that COVID. And the one thing that makes people worried is, so if you're in good health, if you're between the ages of 18 to 30 or so, or 40, and you're in good health, no heart condition, no diabetes, nothing like that, if you end up getting COVID, it's less of a chance for you to end up on a respiratory system or anything like that. And you'll see mild cases, there's people that only lose sense of taste, sense of smell, little things like that, get a high-grade fever, not having lung issues, none like that. It's just mainly running its course through your body, and it's going to run havoc on your body. One of the things that concern a lot of people, and especially in New York, is that they're running low on respiratory systems, and once you're on one and you're on it more than like 14 days, they're saying you're pretty much more than likely will end up dying because your body is not getting that natural flow of air. It's just it's a machine pumping air into your lungs, stuff like that, to help you breathe so you're comfortable, because with COVID you really can't breathe. A lot of things like toilet paper, paper towels, chicken, beef are all going out. If you go into Market 32 here in Oxford, that is here, you'll see that there is barely any pasta, no toilet paper, no paper towels, no chicken, and very little ground beef, because that's all easy stuff. You need toilet paper for the bathroom, obviously, paper towels to like clean your hands, wipe down stuff, and then pasta's like easy go, throw water, throw the noodles in. But it's becoming challenging a lot more for people who are just going to work on a daily basis, who have to go in order to put food on the table for their families. And a lot of people are going to work scared, this, that. But there's one thing that's coming out of this that's good too, is it's bringing the world closer together. You'll see a lot of neighbors helping neighbors now. A lot of people ended up, if you're a first responder or a nurse or doctor now, a lot of people are opening up their RVs, their extra little lake house or whatever. A lot of hotels are opening up too to these people who are afraid of bringing home to their families. And it's really heartbreaking to see. If you ever watch the news, you can see it all the time on the news now, that if you have a grandmother in a nursing home or like elderly home or anything like that, you can't see them because you don't know if you have it, and they're at such a higher risk to get COVID, which will probably end up killing them. And it's hard to watch, and a lot of people have issues with it, and everybody has their own problems with COVID, but it's getting worse and worse. One of the major things that's happened so far is that President Trump ended up a couple weeks ago signing a bill for a stimulus check. And the stimulus check is supposed to help out a lot of people, and it's supposed to kind of keep you going. And he also offered small loans, which thankfully has kept me employed through this, because without that I'd probably be unemployed right now, looking for a job, because where I work, we're a small company, not making a lot of money currently due to Corona, because we are construction and we only have that one or two jobs that's left. But it's very thankful for it. It's harder and harder to find materials that you need in order to do your job, because a lot of this stuff, if you're noticing, is coming from China, and China now, we can't get anything in from China, and nobody's coming from China, especially if you're there now, which is really rough on a lot of people, because certain people depend on it. For instance, the things that make your iPhone that I'm recording on now, it comes from China. It's cheaper to build things in China than to build in the U.S., which is really a problem. One thing that, if you watch the news, if you go on social media, a lot of people are starting to make homemade masks, because there's no masks around. The N95 masks that doctors need are hard to come by, and you won't see a lot of them. Schools are being shut down, which is tremendously shocking. And I actually interviewed the principal, Ms. Potter, and she gave us some insight on it. Restaurants are closing down, everything like that. Gyms, there's no more gyms open, no more hair salons, no nail salons, none of that. No tanning areas, no spas, nothing's open, because you can just contract it just sitting in your house. Not sitting in your house, but you can contract it just going in to get milk. It's become a real challenge for a lot of people. And it sucks, because it's wrecked my senior year, your senior year. It's wrecked a lot of things for people. A lot of families can't see each other again. And a lot of people, unfortunately, when you go to the hospital and you get put on these ventilators and such like that, you can't see your family members ever. Like, again, a lot of people are dying on their own, which is really, really, really sad. And being locked in your house like this isn't enjoyable. I've never experienced something like this before, which is really rough. There's only so much you can do inside your house. But people end up making time. End up playing board games, stuff like that. Yeah. Alrighty, so right now we're on our way to go to the original Antonio's in Beacon Falls. And this is just one of many, many, many restaurants that have been affected due to the coronavirus. One of the things that restaurants have to do here in Connecticut, and I think everywhere, is that you can't have people sitting down inside of the restaurant. You have to do takeout only, or you have to do curbside pickup or delivery. Which I mean, some restaurants have thrived off of it, and then there's other restaurants that have slowly started to see financial issues, things like that, caused due to the coronavirus. Alright, so currently we're at the original Antonio's, and this is just one of many restaurants that are affected. If you look behind me, these parking lots are completely emptied due to this, and a lot of this is caused because of the corona. Usually on a Wednesday afternoon, around this time, it's completely packed. Every parking spot here is packed. And if you were to drive in right now, you'd notice one big thing. All the chairs are up in the restaurant itself due to the fact that customers aren't allowed to come in and dine anymore and spend time inside the restaurant. They have to do what is called curbside pickup now. And what that is, they'll call ahead and they will get everything ready, and it's fast, easy. They pull up to the door without any social distancing, 6 feet, wearing your mask and such. So that's how restaurants like Antonio is doing now due to the coronavirus and things like that nature. Alrighty, so currently I'm leaving the house of the original Antonio's owner, and I had a nice conversation. Unfortunately, I couldn't record it at the time, so I'm just going to give you guys a brief summary of what went down. So I asked him, how is this affected? And, he said the beginning of when it first came out, that only restaurants were able to do pickups and deliveries only. They actually ended up doing normal business as usual, and it was like a normal day for them. But he said by that first Friday, when it happened, it ended up being like a madhouse. They ended up running out of certain things. They weren't expecting the big rush. So now that they're a month and some odd weeks into it, like everybody else, he says that it's now currently starting to slow down. Business for him is fortunately still doing good. They're not in risk of going under or anything like that. That his meat guy called him the other day and told him that they're expecting a meat shortage. So what you're hearing on the news is that places like Tyson, wherever your meat comes from, are having issues keeping up with the supply and demand. And what that's doing is there's the big issue of the meat shortage, not knowing what's going to come next, not knowing if you're going to get your meat for the week. So what a lot of people are starting to do, he said, is they're calling up their supplier or their customers and telling them, hey, you're currently, we're going to go into meat shortage soon. And, you got to get your stuff now. He said he expects that the meat prices for ground beef and everything will go up at least $9 to $15. It will be between $9 and $15. And he's saying that's probably the highest he's ever seen it. Um, he's also saying that around this time of the year, he had currently a total of 15 employees hired, but not working all at the same time. He currently has 30 employees hired, and he's working them. He has an afternoon shift and a dinner shift, just so he keeps that normal business going. But it's definitely harder to get food supplies because his suppliers went going from a 5-day-a-week delivery. So he'd get one every 5 day, like every five days. So pretty much every day of the week except except Saturday and Sunday. And but now they unfortunately cut it down to 2 days a week, every Monday and every Thursday. And he's saying that's a lot harder to find food. So now he has to do all the self-shopping, which is a struggle, especially when they get so many orders as it is, especially at dinner time. Not as much as he said now as lunch. But he also said that you can't really find materials like pasta as easy anymore, which is a big part of an Italian restaurant. So they reverted going back to making the pasta like they used to. And he said one thing that's really harder, thank God he gets it from a supplier that can find it and gets bulk of it, is yeast to make bread, pizza dough, stuff like that. And if you ever seen or been into Antonio's, they're all homemade breads, all homemade pizza, nothing pre-made, none of that. So he definitely said that he's fortunate enough to be in the position where he is, where he's not doing bad, like where you see on the news places are closing down, things like that. But he definitely says he can see a difference. He said that he doesn't think that this will be going back anytime soon. He thinks that it will last at least for a year, the way restaurants will have to keep the way that they are and everything of that kind of nature. And he said that even if they go back to like 6 feet apart, like say the governor tomorrow or next week opens up a thing saying that you can go to a restaurant but you have to be 6 feet, he goes, he would not go back to it. He would keep it the way they're doing it now, curbside pickup or delivery. He prefers it much more than what he was doing business as normal. He definitely believes that this is going to be the new norm for a while. He says the one thing that is challenging is keeping all of his employees healthy and safe, because you don't know where you're getting exactly your products. He says that he makes all of his employees wear masks, even when cooking, just to make sure. None of his employees have ever been contracted the coronavirus, so he's thankful for that. He's doing all right. Everything he said, it's probably doing a little bit the same. He said that the money that they're making now, it's kind of like as if they're making it on a normal basis, the same amount, because now he has to pay for a little bit more gas. So like the extra money he's making from this, he's kind of coming out even after all of his totals. But other than that, he's all right. And that's it. So right now it's 2:04, and usually around this time you'd be seeing a line of people coming down the school driveway right now. But there's nothing. There's nothing at all. It's just the driveway. And if you look at the field, usually around this time of the year, there would be students going down for track, everything in that. And softball and baseball would be out. But there's really nothing here. Here's all the student parking lot and the senior pictures, paintings of the driveway and everything that aren't being used anymore because the school's shut down, and it's just kind of just sitting here at this point. You know, very limited people can come and go. And I did an interview this morning with Miss Potter, and she was even saying it's quiet. There's nobody in the halls except 2 people. You know, there's nothing really to look at. Like, she has to do all of her conferences and everything over the phone. And you can see that all around Connecticut now, including the United States. A lot of people are starting to transfer over to online conferences. Like yesterday, I had a conference for work. I had to go online to Team Meet on Microsoft and do all my conference on there. And, you know, sometimes it's okay, but when you have that technical difficulties, it's not the same like being in person. And a lot of the issue is that you don't know. It's a silent fight, kind of, in a say. Like, all this right now would be covered with students running around, people coming and going, all that, but there's nothing out here. And if we come out back, like right now, we're heading towards the teacher parking lot, and there's just nobody. You know, there's trash all over the ground because nobody's been here, and it's probably just floating around. The only people that have been here so far is 1, the principal, and 2, the kitchen staff that cooks the meals for people who can't afford to have a meal at their own house and things like that. But right now, this would be where all the buses would be lining up, and there's just nothing whatsoever. So, Ms. Potter, do you think e-learning is beneficial or not?
So I'm a big fan of students being in a classroom and experiencing learning that way. However, under the circumstances, I think e-learning and the way we're doing it is the best case scenario. It's the best we can do. I think that new learning can take place when schooling is happening live, when you're with your teacher learning a new skill. I do think you can learn more in a classroom as opposed to in e-learning, because you can ask questions and move a little bit quicker. So e-learning is beneficial right now, but I'm not a fan for long term.
So how has the pandemic changed your mindset as a principal on things?
So I think my mindset hasn't changed all that much. I still believe that in a growth model that students can grow no matter where they are. I think that under certain circumstances, students can grow faster in some areas than others. For example, it all depends on the student's style of learning, right? So some of our kids are excelling in this environment. They love it. They love this online learning. And there are other students that are growing, and we're trying to get them on board or help them best we can, but they're not learning at the same pace as their peers. Due to other stressors. E-learning is causing a lot of stress and anxiety in some of our students who thrive off of being in that classroom, sitting next to their peers and having that experience. So that's kind of how my growth mindset is. In terms of principal and what I have to do on the daily basis and how that changed, it didn't change, the platform changed, right? We still have discipline issues. We still have students that are not engaged. We still have students that are not working towards their potential. All these things that Mr. Schumann and I work on a daily basis with teachers and our counselors. But the difference here now is I can't just walk 2 doors down and see Mr. Cranky, or walk down the hallway and talk to Mr. Schumann. So that is now I have to schedule times and get in touch with people. And that time is very, very important especially if you have a student crisis. So those are things that are making things very difficult for me as the principal of the school. And I guess that's all I have to say. I still pop into the classroom, still like doing that. It just looks very different, but the mentality of what the job we have to do has not changed. We are here to turn the students of Oxford High School into productive members of society, right? And we will just use that, our little motto there, that we'll try to inspire you, we'll encourage you, we'll support you. Those are all things that we still try to do. Platforms change, the mission has not.
Okay, all right. So everything's pretty much the same, just now we're pretty much online and
things take a little bit longer. And things like that. The way it's going to shape our fall is going to be very different because there's going to be gaps in learning and things like that. So if anything, I'm already thinking not so much about this year, but the start of the fall and what that's going to look like, especially for our 8th graders coming in to 9th grade, where their platform is different than ours. I don't know. We're going to have to really do a lot of baseline assessments. So I'm thinking about how to make next year, what next year, the beginning of the school will look like. And I'm really thinking about our juniors who have to take their SATs still, and taking them during the school day. And this is a very crucial year for juniors, and thinking about a lot. And of course, for our seniors, they missed out on a lot of fun. And I mean, after testing, May, June, there's a lot of activities that the seniors won't be able to participate in.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think this will be like the new norm going into next year? Do you think this will carry over into like the fall, or do you think this will lightly end itself?
I think that what we're doing right now in this pandemic will have very long-lasting effects way past when we can start seeing each other. I mean, I could talk. Oxford's great, right? Everybody has their Chromebooks. We check attendance. We're reaching out to students and families who are not engaged in their online learning. We know where our students are, but we're Oxford. We're this tiny little Oxford of 531 students. I'm thinking about this bigger than Oxford, where there are districts right now that there is still no learning taking place. I spoke to someone in Danbury, and they're like, well, we don't even know where our kids are. They don't even have them. So I really look at that. That's a huge piece of how this is going to shape us not only in the fall, but for years and years to come. So I think this is going to have long-lasting effects for sure. I think that there won't be jobs for our teenagers that like to work after school. There's a lot of things that I'm thinking about, even when we're able to come back to school, right? There's going to be long-lasting effects, things that we're all going to have to do to get everybody to kind of start leveling that playing field again, making education equitable for everyone. There's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done.
Okay. So, like, I know the pandemic and being quarantined has, like, affected, like, me going to work, stuff like that, like, how we proceed in work, everything like that. But how has the quarantine and pandemic affected you so far?
Like, personally?
Yeah, like, has there anything in your daily life that had to change, anything like that?
Yeah, sure. So I have 3 kids. They're all home, right? Each one has their own type of learning. Obviously, my son Jeffrey goes to Oxford High School, so I kind of know what he's doing. I have an older daughter who's home, and my middle one goes to a different high school, so I have to kind of help them out. But I'm a very social person, so social distancing and being quarantined is very, very difficult for me. And so I am able to go to the high school sometimes. I was there yesterday, for example, and it's just so sad. I think if anything, it's very, very sad. So I was thinking about it. All right, so this is going to be like summer, right? I'm going to go to the school. Nobody's going to be there. It's going to be like the summer, but it's not like that because there are students and people all over the place, even summer. And so when I'm in that school, literally by myself, maybe one other person, it's very, very sad and depressing. Most people in education like people and like being around people, right? You don't have, so not being around others to be able to talk to or hug or high five is very hard for me. So I think for my own emotional being, I've taken a hit, yeah, for sure. I'm a little cranky too. I get my kid, I'm a little bit cranky.
Yeah.
So that's not good. And there's so much binge watching I can do.
Yeah.
Okay, watch and all that. That gets old too, though. Like, so I like being outside. So when it's nice out, I'll go outside. But when it's raining 3-4 days in a row and you're literally stuck inside, it's not like you could go in the car and just like drive down to a local restaurant just to take a break. There's none of that. And so that's affected me. And also, two of my daughters, they have summer jobs, right, at Camp Sloper and at Lake Compound. So there's a lot of worry out there. Luckily, your teachers and I, we are lucky enough to be in the profession we're in because we didn't lose our job. We have our job and we're able to get a paycheck. But there's a lot of people out there that aren't as lucky. So I think about that a lot. There's businesses that are being shut down. I have friends that own restaurants and I'm watching their struggle. I have friends that are hairdressers, so I watch their struggles. It's scary above anything else.
Yeah, I agree. So going back to like school and everything like that, if you watch the news, there's always this talk about how like it's not looking promising coming back. It's not looking like as if we're not going to be able to finish out this year. And I know most people are trying to keep an open-minded about it, but have you guys put any thoughts about what will happen if like we won't come back to school, like anything like that, graduation wise, things like that?
Absolutely. Oh, we've been thinking about that for a month now, right? So we have a couple plans already. So best case scenario, we're back and have a graduation, right? The likelihood of that happening are very slim. But also, if we're not allowed to come back to school as students, right? If we're our thought is, well, we have about 130 seniors, so if they lift social distancing, maybe even not back in school, we can have a graduation, on the field. Maybe it's streamed live as opposed to having an audience, right? That would really be hard on families, but we are looking at every angle. There are also virtual options. Mr. Hibbert and I just went to a large seminar on how to do a virtual graduation where you mix live and pre-recorded things. So that's there. We're thinking this all the time, and I'll tell you that my email gets blown up every single day with parents trying to help and have ideas of what we could do for like a prom for these kids. What will graduation look like? I can't give this time back to you guys, but I still want it to be memorable. I think we still need to celebrate all the work that you've done to get to this point, right? So when I tell you that seniors are at our forefront of our thought, it's true. And it's not only me, it's the nation, it's everyone. We're all thinking about how we're going to recognize our seniors this year. So there's a lot of thought into it. There's like plan A, B, C, D. We got you covered. We got the seniors covered.
Alrighty, I would like to say thank you